Understanding the Class Debate by Ashley H., Sarah E., and Hunter B. According to Fleming, Tutent, and Raptick's article, Slavin explained the idea of class size best when he said, "The search for substantial achievement, effects of reducing class size, is one of the oldest and most frustrating for educational researchers." Slavin was appointed to the National Academy of Education in 2009 for his expertise in research-based school improvement. In the early 1900s, classes would be as big as 60 students and multiple grade levels would be present in the same classroom in the urban setting. In the rural school communities, a classroom would hold 10 to 30 students, and some of those students would be anywhere from 6 to 8 school years apart. Some of the first research on class size was done by Rice in 1902 and Elliott in 1914. In 1888, Rice went to Europe to study the school systems of different countries. He returned home in 1890 ready to improve the American style of elementary education. In 1902, Rice took a look at arithmetic scores in relation to class size and calculated the elementary classes of up to 50 students. Rice found that there was no difference in the achievement based on class size. Herbert Elliott looked in New York at differences in achievement in 5th and 7th grade students. Elliott also found that no relationship with class size and rates of promotion existed. In 1934, Dahl reported that kindergarten class size does not change the child's ability to learn reading skills, but a smaller class size does allow the child more time to participate. A researcher by the name of Norman Otto researched 50 large and 50 small elementary school classes, and he found that the classroom community was better in the smaller classrooms, but the size did not affect the achievement of the students. The reason for this explosion was the publication of the study founded by James Coleman. The study was known as the Coleman Report. According to StateUniversity.com, James was a social theorist and an empirical researcher with prevailing interest in social problems in education. His study tested about 600,000 students from about 3,000 different schools. The report concluded the main issues with student achievement were attributed to families and peer groups. Schools were not a major role in fundamentally determining student achievement. According to Fleming, Tutent, and Raptick's article, two researchers, Ryan and Greenfield, said class size research generally failed to control what was obviously the most significant variable common to all of the studies, the quality of teaching. Haydad continued to say, more important is what the teacher does with the opportunities provided by the size of the class. The class sizes varied, and the research stated that students in small classes improved more than students in larger classes. It seems that the more recent studies lean towards smaller class sizes, but the older ones didn't seem to see a big difference.
In current time, reducing the classroom size is done only if the schools have enough resources to pay for this big of a project.
Class sizes have a positive side though. A study done by Lazar in 2001 helped outline a model where class size is important based on the role that it plays when developing the class environment. This study came to find that with small classroom activities can be more hands-on along with more room for group discussion. Furthermore, due to the student-faculty ratio, this alluded to higher attendance rates. The students knew that they would get the one-on-one they needed to be successful. According to Mila Kamak, it might be easy for students to apply activities and activity-based learning in small-sized classes. Teachers have a much easier time with smaller classes because more can be done with all the benefit going to the student. On the other hand, there are pros to having a larger class size. Larger class sizes can cause students to conform to a group that they get along with and can work well with. Furthermore, setting students with someone who may be a procrastinator, for example, along with someone who gets assignments done right away may be very beneficial. With a large class size, this will motivate students into styling their own education, according to Stratford. This uses imagination and the ideas of working on their own in the real world. With pros to class sizes, the teacher holds the most power in making their classroom management where all students are being given the same quality of learning.
While there are pros to reducing the class size, there are also cons. Studies that don't take in all the information of the student's background, but just survey the class size, will get a variety of results. All students are different, and if you don't research all the aspects of a child but strictly focus on just the class size, you won't get the right data. According to Chingos, more affluent schools are likely to have the resources needed to provide smaller classes, which would create the illusion that smaller class sizes are better when in fact family characteristics are the real reason. If students are not getting the right attention at home, they may not act appropriately in school, even if they are placed into a smaller classroom. It's not just about the classroom or the school, it's also about the family. Hiring fewer teachers is one of the only ways to reduce personnel costs without cutting teacher salaries or benefits. Creating smaller class sizes are extremely expensive, so you would need to hire fewer teachers or take from teacher salaries and benefits. Both would cause a lot of conflict with teachers. It is common sense that students will learn more in a smaller classroom because you get more individual attention. My question though is a smaller classroom always necessary? According to Education Research Center, one concern surrounding efforts in the various states to shrink class sizes is that the press for quantity will come at the expense of quality, forcing schools and districts to hire underqualified or unprepared teachers. Clearly, one of the biggest issues in making class sizes smaller is the cost. It would cost more to hire more teachers, and it would cost more to make the building bigger to accommodate these teachers and students. Florida estimates its class size program will cost about $40 billion to do this project by the year 2020. Project STAR, Student-Teacher Achievement Ratio, was a well-known experiment in the mid-1980s carried out in Tennessee that shows that reducing the class size has a relatively small advantage. According to Alton Oak and Kingdon, a reduction of around 8 students per class raised test scores by less than 0.02 standard deviations, making class size reduction a very costly way of achieving small learning gains. This experiment clearly shows that there is a change, but it is very small and not really worth all the spending going through to put the smaller class sizes to work. The money that is spent on hiring more teachers and building more rooms to make the school bigger can be used in a lot better way to advance student learning. Some schools are having to create classrooms out of small rooms such as closet and putting portable classrooms on the playground. One suggestion could be to have a co-teacher with the regular teacher to guarantee that the students are getting the help and attention they need if the class is too large. That would be more money to the school, but they would not need another classroom to put these students in, therefore they will save more money than having to create a whole other classroom.
In the future of class size, many schools have seen an increase in the number of students and a decrease in the funds they are receiving. The student-to-teacher ratio is coming to a number that is worrying many parents on how well their child or children is actually being educated. There has been petitions made to end the large class sizes, but they have not deemed to be successful. Robert Rios strives that we are now paying for neglecting to properly fund schools. Higher crime rates and the lack of qualified workers for our industries have negatively impacted on all facets of our society. We keep spending valuable resources on treating the symptoms and not the disease. What it costs to educate one child for a year is much less than what it costs to have an inmate for a whole year. This proves that the money is not being spent on something that is a necessity. Education is important. The future for class size will continue to get worse because the funds are getting less and less. The rest of the world is in distress, and that has a negative effect on schools. Class size plays an important role in the success of students. This issue needs to be addressed and brought to a halt soon so that children do not suffer for a bright future.